Today we have gathered here to do Mahalakshmi Puja. Mahalakshmi principle is a very important principle within us. When in the countries or in the families or in individual lives, we find somebody must translate. I think it would be better because they don't have. Come on. You may sit. Yeah, it's better. So this Mahalakshmi principle is the most important thing for our ascent. This principle is within us, but is not awakened before we have achieved a certain amount of situation where we find that we are not yet satisfied with our life. Like in the West now, you had blessings of the Lakshmi principle, in the sense there is affluence, people are alright, everybody has food and are sufficient in their every day-to-day life. But countries which are very poverty-stricken or who are in very bad shape, like you can see now Yugoslavia these days is like that, in a very bad shape, or a country Somalia, which is very so poor, and they have no spiritual background either. So for them, this life is just meant for some or other to survive, just to survive. Like this is a life of crisis they have. They have still to exist with their lives. So it's a crisis for them. But in the affluent countries, it so happens that people start feeling that now we have got this money, we've got all the comfort of life, but still it's not giving us the joy of life. Like India is a country who has a spiritual background from the very beginning. And it's a yoga bhumi, and people know that you have to ascend, that's the thing you have to achieve. You don't have to tell an Indian that what is the aim of your life. He'll say that I want to achieve self-realization. They won't mind poverty or any kind of so-called dearth of things, because to them that's not so important. Its most important thing is that they have to get their moksha, they have to get their realization. That's the most important. So, India was a country, was very rich once upon a time, and so many people invaded that country and it became poor. But
so what's the problem?
They still, despite all that, they still did not bother about what there is lost. The most important thing is that their spirit is still intact, and that's what they have to find out, the spirit. But see, the politicians everywhere are funny. And you should never judge any country by the government, but by the common people. So they urge to find out new things and through science, or to go into other countries and invade and dominate. All that was there in the Western countries. Like Columbus went to America and killed so many people. Spanish killed so many people. But then after some years, we should say, people started thinking, what is the use of all this? What did we get? We have food to eat, we have clothes, we have houses, there's science, but nothing is conclusive. And then the basic principle questions, why am I on this earth? Is it just to be born and make some money and then die? When such question starts coming into the minds of the people, then this Mahalakshmi principle gets awakened. And the seeking starts. And they become sadhakas, means seekers. So this principle cannot be forced on anyone. It is something just as innately it starts manifesting. When you try to find what is beyond, after all, what is the purpose of my life? Because you start respecting yourself. Also you see around yourself people who are indulging into pleasures of life, but there is nothing joyful in them. So this kind of thing, that is your atmosphere, you can call, your national life, your family life, everything starts giving you questions. That questioning itself, you see, all the time makes you seek the answers to this. Then you start reading books. You hear from somebody that you can get spiritual training, you go to that place. I mean, you just turn to those things. Now in the West, you see, the biggest problem was Christianity. Because Christianity, what Christ gave to people, was completely twisted by Paul. And he got a very nice platform for himself. He was a bureaucrat. So he wanted to jump on the platform. He was not a disciple of Christ, he had never met Christ, nothing of the kind. And he thought the weakest disciple of Christ is Peter. Christ has said that a Satan will take over you. So he edited the Bible, and in that he put it that Christ told Peter, is absolute falsehood, that you will form your church. That's how Christianity started. And there are so many things he brought in. For example, he didn't want anything to be mentioned about Christ's mother, about Madonna, or about the primordial mother. So when with this Mahalakshmi principle, people went to Christianity and found that it was absurd. They had no answers. They didn't know what was Holy Ghost. To such a limit that there was one Pope, I have read recently, who was asked, supposing you make somebody a saint after his death, then does he feel the divinity just when you make it in the grave? So this Pope said, yes, of course. As soon as we make him the saint in the church, he can feel it in the grave. Then the second Pope which came in, he said, no, it's not true. Even if you make them the saint, they have to wait for the last judgment. And at that time, all these dead bodies will come out. And they will feel the divine. By that time only the bones will be there in the. So the idea of reincarnation also they did not accept. The worst was the idea that there is a original sin. In this puja this time, I told them about the original sin. I don't know how many of you were there for this puja.
Which puja, madam?
This last puja.
En el último puja, madre nos ha hablado del...
Navaratri.
sí, en el Navaratri puja, there was only one person, Fernando, y nos habló del pecado original.
So I'll tell you what happened really. That all the animals are called as Pashu, means they are under the complete control of God Almighty. And they have no awareness. So, idea of the Father was to make human beings alright, who would not look like animals, but who would be completely under his control. Because it's a headache, to give freedom to your children. But the primordial mother thought that this is not all right. The children must know the knowledge. So she became the snake and told them that you better eat the fruit of knowledge. Otherwise, if she had not told, we would have been less like animals. By that, human beings got their freedom. Of course, they make mistakes. They have made lots of mistakes in their choices. Doesn't matter. But they all can get their realization. So this is the culmination of that desire of the primordial mother, that people should get their self-realization and they should know everything. That is how you are all Sajogis now. But if this had not come into your head that there is no answer to many questions in Christianity or in any religion, you would not have taken to Mahalakshmi principle. And the Mahalakshmi principle, which started manifesting in you, you started seeking. This principle was very active from the last 50 years, I should say. And a new era started. That is the Kali Yuga, and now it is the Kruta Yuga. Means this all-pervading power of divine love, which is the power of the primordial mother, became active simultaneously with the people who suddenly became aware that they have to seek. So many of them. So this Kruta Yuga has started, and it is doing many things which were never done in any incarnation. The first thing is, during this time, everybody will get their karma phalas, means whatever they have done wrong, they'll have to pay for it.
La primera cosa que está sucediendo y que va a suceder es que el karma
phala.
Karma phala.
Phala means the fruit. Only through self-realization, the karma phalas can be completely finished. So now we have collective also karma phalas. See now, for example, so many Americans killed the poor, simple people who were in America, like Red Indians. And these poor things, they are completely destroyed, devastated. They could not fight the guns of the white-skinned Anglo-Saxons and the Spanish. So, as a result of that, some of them just ran up to the hills like Bolivia and all these places, hid there. So now in Bolivia, they have discovered this drug. And this drug is now coming to America and people are dying. They have to pay for their sins. Why Americans are so fond of these drugs? Why are they smuggling so much drug? And why of all the things from Bolivia it is coming? Because they are paying for their sins. Also the drugs are coming mainly to Spain to begin with, and they are distributed from here all over. Like that, all these karma phalas are to be paid for, whether it is collective or individual. Like now Indians, we had these English people. For 300 years they stayed in our country. They came without any visa, without any... And now if any Indian goes without a visa, they arrest him. And they divided our country into 3 parts. But now their country is divided into 4 parts. Every day there is a bomb scare. And they don't know how to manage these 4 countries which are saying that we are not English. One has to pay. Very surprisingly, they were very, very insensitive people who came to India because they never bothered to find out about spirituality. Doesn't matter. Now, one has to face it. In the same way, our individual karma phalas also will have to pay now. You see, AIDS are coming. 65% people are supposed to be nervous wrecks in America. You see so many divorces and the way the society is ruined, the way the women have become so funny. It's very, very sad that all these beautiful people have taken to a destructive life. They are taking to destruction. Nobody tells them, but they just, if they see this is the best way you can destroy yourself, they do it. If anybody gets some money, he'll immediately go to a pub. Or else he might buy drugs. Or he may start the business of drug. So all the time they are thinking of how to destroy your body. They will take to smoking, or to drinking, or to drug, and all such destructive things. In Spain before this, people used to, even now, kill a bull. Now they are killing themselves by taking all these nonsensical things and running after all these nonsensical things. They are killing themselves. By leading an immoral life, they are destroying their own children, their own family, their own wives. So, why do they take to all these destructive things? They see somebody who is going to the pub and comes out and he falls down. Again they go and pay money to become like him. Again you come out and fall down. They don't even think that we are paying money for this nonsense. So this is a sort of a reaction, I would say, a karma phalas, that whatever sins they have committed are coming to them. They try to destroy other countries, so now they are destroying themselves. Like I went to China, sitting next to the Prime Minister's wife. She asked me, what about the English, how are they? I said, they are all right. But what about drugs, she said. I said, that is too much, because in the south of London, there are children of 12 years who are 2,000 who are taking drugs at that time. Then I am quite happy, very good, because they drugged us. Now let them all have drug and nicely sleep off. And it's really speaking, this overactive English now have become extremely lethargic and lousy. So when you see all this, then suddenly you start thinking, I don't want to be a part of this society. It's something funny. So then you take to say anti-culture like the hippies did. But that was very superficial. It was just a way how to dominate others. They said they were primitive, becoming primitive, but their brains were modern. So then we come to a point where we understand that all this kind of hypocritical behavior is of no use. Because whatever you may try, whatever you may accept, unless and until you feel that joy within yourself, you are seeking still. So as it is, you are here because there was Mahalakshmi principle which was awakened. Also, you are here because you are Sajogis. And thus now, you have powers to raise the Kundalini of others, to give realization to others, to cure people. And you have self-knowledge. You know everything about your own centers also. But we must understand how to keep our Mahalakshmi principle intact. The first thing is that we get our realization so easily that we don't understand the value of it. How tremendous it is, how glorifying it is. But supposing if I had asked you to go on the Himalayas, fast for 1 month, and then die, and come next life, might be, you might have felt that's the right thing. But my style was that no, let them first have a little light in their Mahalakshmi principle. And with a little light only they can see what is wrong with them. I don't have to tell them, they themselves can see. So this Mahalakshmi principle within us only, in the Sushumna Nadi, has managed to show you what is wrong with you. Because you discover what chakra is in problem about yourself. Then you don't like it and you want to get it corrected also. If I tell somebody that your agya is catching, I mean to say it is ego. But I don't say that way, I just say your agya is catching. Immediately that person will say, yes, I know mother, my agya is very bad. So with this knowledge, you can keep your central path open. For that, one has to have balance. Balance means moderation. Say whatever was your previous life, some of you might have been very much interested in sports or maybe in food. So, with the advent of Sahaja Yoga, now you can see yourself where you are going wrong and what should be done to put it right. There are very few principles which you have to accept in Sahaja Yoga. One of them is to forgive everyone, because this forgiveness is at a very crucial point of the Agya Chakra. Now, if you don't forgive, your Kundalini won't rise, you have seen that. So your Kundalini itself works out all the problems of your chakras. So what a blessing it is now that we know about ourselves, also we know how to cure ourselves. This is a very big insight we get, and that's how we start introspection. And we don't feel shy that we have to see ourselves what's wrong with us. We don't feel shy about it, because with this Mahalakshmi principle you have ascended to a state of your spirit which just sees, which knows. And when you just see things, then you understand what's wrong and how you can help it. You understand also other people. To keep yourself aloof or undisturbed by the problems of others, you know how to protect yourself. But still I would say ego is a very big enemy of a Sahaja Yoga. It is to be understood that if we cannot get rid of our ego, we can never rise into the Sahasrara. So, through your meditation, through your dedication, you can keep your Kundalini in the central path of evolution. You have to watch, you have to be very watchful as to what is the thing that is in me is lacking. What is it that is conditioning me? So the Mahalakshmi principle, which is for your ascent, has to be used mainly for your ascent. This is to be understood, that we are going to keep our Mahalakshmi principle awakened, because it's this principle which has brought you to truth, to totality. And if you want to really go ahead, really, if you want to go ahead with your assent, then please remember that the most important thing is to look after your Mahalakshmi principle. When you realize that Mahalakshmi principle is the most important thing for you, you neglect all other things. Then to you the most important thing is Mahalakshmi. You always try to keep your centers clean, you meditate nicely, you put the Kundalini up on the fontanelle bone area, and all the time you are watchful about yourself. With this kind of understanding about yourself, you can perfect yourself in Sahaja Yoga alone. It is not necessary for you to give up anything, to renounce anything, to run away from your family, nothing. But you have to grow yourself so powerful in your compassion and in your spirituality that there will be no obstruction to whatever you want to do. In the Mahalakshmi principle, there are certain cautions we have to take. One of the cautions is that when you come to Sahaja Yoga, you should not think that why shouldn't I be a leader, why shouldn't I be something great? And this competition then starts, and you are brought down from your Mahalakshmi principle to some sort of a power grade. So this development, the strength within, when it starts manifesting, you have no doubts about yourself, you have no doubts about anything whatsoever. So you reach such a pure state of consciousness where nothing can spoil your consciousness. And you become so original about everything. You become so dynamic and so original. Whatever you do or whatever you say, people are impressed by that. So all the principles of Mahalakshmi must be understood fully well. Also, I have to say that once your Mahalakshmi principle gets all right, everybody in the family or in your circles, everybody feels that this is some sort of a different personality. All your gestures, all your behaviors, everything automatically changes. I don't tell anything anywhere, it just changes automatically. And then you develop a personality which is very congenial with Sahaja Yoga. What I mean, that you select things which are congenial to your Sahaj living. So this Mahalakshmi principle is the one that gives you the ascent on, and the Kundalini is kept up there. But when again the Kundalini sometimes goes down, you should know that there is something wrong with your Mahalakshmi principle. That's why it's coming down. Of course, the collective helps you. Of course, all pujas help you. But it's your complete understanding which is very important. Because it is a very subtle body within you. It can get disturbed by any small thing. When I meet some of them, I am surprised that there's a little thing that has come in between, like the father had a guru or some sort of very small thing, and it spoils the... say now, a little thing goes into your eyes, you cannot see anything. It's a very subtle thing. So you have to be watchful. Why? Why my vibrations are not right? Why do I feel my agya or my nabhi? Why? And logically you must find out what's the matter. I mean, of course it is for your benevolence, for your joy, for complete transformation, everything, the Mahalakshmi principle is there. But something small is not there, and that's why you are not getting your doubtless awareness. For example, once you have your doubtless awareness, you know that you are just like a barometer, and if you are catching it is just giving you information. And you are not identified anymore with doubts about it. And most important thing to you becomes the flow of vibrations all the time. That's the most important.
Yes.
This is the state where I say you are doubtlessly aware, where you have no doubts about yourself, about Sahaja Yoga, about the knowledge of Sahaja. But in some people, this ascent is very fast and they keep it, they have maintained it. But in some people, it's very slow. They get disturbed by small things. Like some Sahaja Yogi, supposing he has money in the bank, and pesotas have fallen. Immediately, he becomes as if something, the whole earth has fallen down or God knows what happened. That time, one should know that no, I am not yet a Sahaja Yogi. I am not on doubtless awareness. Because such a person will just laugh. There must be something in it. Must be I was playing with money and doing all these nonsensical things. That's why. That is the sign of a Sahaja Yogi who is doubtlessly aware. And everybody knows that he is like that. You don't have to ask for certificate. Everybody knows that this man is now a gone case in Sahaja Yoga. In that state, then you find everything works out, just. So many miracles that you are amazed how these things are working out. And these miracles go on happening to you, and then you start thinking that, see now, why should I worry about anything? After all, everything is worked out for me by the divine power. Why should I worry? You meet the right person at the right time and the right things happen. But when you forget you are a Sahaja Yogi, you still go on fighting, saying bad things, cannot adjust in collectivity, all kinds of nonsense. You just don't know how to manage your principle of Mahalakshmi. So the principle of Mahalakshmi is that you are very gracious, you are forgiving, you are not distant, but you are very anxious to help others. You are never tired doing good to others, and you never ask for any reward. You don't watch your watches. Time is at your feet. So you go beyond time, you go beyond your gunas, and you become a personality which is something so unique, which not only gives joy to yourself, but to everyone. Now see the beautiful nature around you. It's so beautiful that I am getting meditative all the time. It's so joy-giving. If you can see and absorb that joy that is in the nature, it's like a picture, beautiful. Then you are nourishing your Mahalakshmi. In small things, you should see the beauty and the joy. And in small things, what others are doing, you should find joy. It's a kind of a very beautiful mind which is as if creating joy. It now, when I came here, I saw this one. I felt very joyous to see one this. I don't know why. Once I had gone to a place called Paritana, which we had to walk about miles together up on the hill. And my son-in-law and my daughter both were absolutely tired, in fact. And there were many temples, just empty ones, marble temples, they just laid down there. But I saw beautiful elephants with different tails, you see. Every elephant had a different tail. So I said, see what beautiful work they have done. Every elephant's tail is differently twisted. So my son-in-law said, Mommy, we are dead. Where are you going to see this elephant? So this is the difference, that you never feel tired. In every leaf, in every grass blade, in the sky, all around, you feel there is joy. And when you are alone, you are enjoying yourself. You are never bored and you never bore anyone. But if you are not all right with your Mahalakshmi principle, then such people are very difficult. I feel sorry. You have to ask them to get out of Sahaja Yoga and this and that. I don't like it. But what to do? So please, we must remember that we have to nourish our Mahalakshmi principle, which has given you the seeking, which has brought forth your realization. Because the Mahalakshmi, only through the Mahalakshmi, the Kundalini rises. In the temple of Mahalakshmi in Kolhapur, I asked him, why are you singing the song of Jogwa, of Abba? They didn't understand. They didn't know. You can understand that it is in the Mahalakshmi temple of yours, the Amba is the Kundalini which rises. So your Mahalakshmi temple is not limited to yourself, but is the whole universe. If you can enter into the essence of that Mahalakshmi principle of everything, the whole thing is nothing but joy. Today I am very happy that in Spain we are having this Mahalakshmi principle, by which people will now divert their attention from material nonsense to spirituality. Like every man has one car and still he wants to have another car and wants to have another car, and there's no room now for anywhere to keep them. They'll have to put them on their heads. So these things are never joy-giving. You know the principle of economics. They are never joy-giving. They are never satiable. So we turn to spirituality, and where we find complete satisfaction. Everything is vibrant with joy. But if the instrument of your Mahalakshmi, Sushumna, is not clear, your heart is not clear, then there is no music. As you know that through this only you get your creativity, everything. Your poetry, righteousness, your peace, everything you get through your central path of Sushumna. So, it's so important that Mahalakshmi came on this earth. First as Sita, then as Radha, then as Mother Mary. And that the joy of motherhood they give you, that you are protected, you are nourished, you are loved by your mother, which is the Mahalakshmi. Ultimately in the brain, she becomes Viratangana. Viratangana she is called as. Means the power of Virata. So many things I can say, but about Mahalakshmi principle, I think for today that's sufficient. I hope you will meditate on that and keep your Mahalakshmi Tattva expanding. May God bless you.
Que Dios los bendiga.